Today I'll be attempting my first ever Pokemon Nuzlocke. At the same time, I'll also be playing Pokemon for the first time. Yes, I've never played a Pokemon game before, and I thought what's a better way to begin my journey than with a Nuzlocke. If you don't know, a Pokemon Nuzlocke is made to make the game more challenging. If you've already beaten that Pokemon game and want to replay it, a Nuzlocke is a good way to do so. Why would I start with a Nuzlocke if I've never played before? I don't know. The rules of a Pokemon Nuzlocke are simple, mostly. First off, you may only catch the first wild Pokemon encountered in each area and none else. If the first wild Pokemon encountered faints or flees, there are no second chances. Next up, any Pokemon that faints is considered dead and must be released. Okay. Those are the two main rules, but there are some smaller ones, like you must nickname all of your Pokemon for the sake of forming stronger emotional bonds. Not only does this Nuzlocke make Pokemon more challenging, but it's also supposed to play with your emotions. Why am I doing this? Again, I don't know. Here's my first playthrough of Pokemon, and for some reason I decided to make it a Nuzlocke. I created my character, went through the opening scenes, and it was time to begin this journey. I was introduced into my choice of starter Pokemon, and I already knew which one I wanted. Kitty! Sprigatito was my choice. Sadly, due to this Nuzlocke, after I catch my first Pokemon, I won't be able to keep him. I did give Sprigatito a nickname. I don't know if this is required because I didn't catch him, but just to be on the safe side. Great name considering I'll only be able to battle with him once. My first battle begins against Nemona, and I definitely knew that. I didn't choose that attack because it was the only one with color. I win my opening battle, and the real challenge is now about to start. I made it to my first path. Now it was time to catch my first Pokemon, Lechonk. Not the first Pokemon I wanted, but after a quick battle and catch, it was time for a nickname. Such a creative nickname. I sadly had to move Satatito into my box due to this Nuzlocke. I carried on, finding some items along the way, met a new Pokemon, and made it to a new area. I went through this area without fighting any Pokemon, and afterwards I met this guy Arvin, and I was challenged to a fight. Although I did decline, knowing that if I lost this fight, I'd lose this Nuzlocke. And apparently I didn't even have a choice, and I got forced into this battle. The battle begins and I open with Tackle. That then does minimal damage while the Swovet's Tackle takes over half my Chonk's health. I then use Tail Whip because my Chonk's only other move did very minimal damage, and it turns out Tail Whip isn't even an attack. The next tackle from my opponent takes out my Chonk. Wow. Just like that, my first Nuzlocke attempt ever fails in less than an hour of playtime. I should have caught a second Pokemon earlier, but since I was so limited, I wanted to make sure I caught a cute Pokemon. Why did I play that way? Now that my first ever Nuzlocke has failed, I brought back Satatito and decided to carry on in a non-Nuzlocke format. I'm clearly not good enough for this challenge, but I would like to attempt it again sometime, and that's why I'll use this first playthrough as a learning experience for the next. I guess that means the rest of this video is my first time playing Pokemon. I got into a battle with a Hoppip and won, catching my third Pokemon. I went through getting in more battles, mainly to level up my Pokemon. I was super excited to come across a Buizel, as it is one of the few Pokemon I actually knew before coming into this. This was my longest battle yet, but eventually I caught Weasel and couldn't be happier. I made my way to my first Pokemon Center, healed up my Pokemon, and carried on. I went on to my next goal, fighting more Pokemon along the way. I came across this guy, and apparently if I defeat 2 more trainers, I'll get a nice prize, so I went on to do so. Then I received my prize. Thanks. Nemona then came around for a rematch, and after I swiftly defeated Quaxly, she decided to terrestrialize her Pokemon. My Weasel proceeds to get one shot. I called out Satatito, and apparently this was a much better matchup for me, as after taking 2 hits and dealing 2 hits, I've won. Team Star was next up, and after a quick battle, I was given a Terra Orb to use on a Team Star Grunt, which kinda seems overkill to me. Hasta la Star. At school, I was introduced to 3 separate storyline paths I could take. I already knew which path I wanted to start off with, and that's defeating a gym leader. School time was now over, and my journey begins. I'll start off by beating the first mission of each storyline path. I set the Cortando gym as my first gym to beat, as it is recommended, and on my way to the first gym, I came across this glowing rock, and it was for a Terra Raid battle. So I went into battle alone, and some other trainers showed up to help. Right off the start, I was completely lost, and I accidentally attacked my teammate. Sorry. I learned from my mistake, but soon after, Satatito fainted. Luckily, that didn't last long and I was back in the fight. That also didn't last long. I terrestrialized Satatito, but there is no time left, and I have failed my first Terra Raid. No time to feel down as I went to take on my first gym. Before I could battle the opening gym leader, I had to pass a gym test. This test was, I passed. Time for my first gym battle. I terrestrialized right off start. I don't know if that was a good idea. Soon after, I took a super effective hit and lost attack damage. My attack then didn't do too much. I used a potion mid-battle and that proceeded to happen 3 more times until Satatito fainted. I called out Hoppip for the first time and took out Nimble. Sadly, after that, things got tough and I realized I was outmatched. Each Pokemon this gym leader has is level 14 while my highest is level 12. Just like that, I lost my opening gym battle. Wow, there's really no way I was going to do this in a Nuzlocke format. Afterwards, I prepared for a rematch by battling Pokemon to level up my Pokemon. I caught a Starly to add to my team. I then wanted to add this Pichu to my team to replace my Chonk. After that, I found a wild terrestrialized Meowth at level 15. This battle took so long, but after finally breaking the terrestrialization, I was able to catch Meowth and add him to my party, replacing Hoppip, as Hoppip was the only Pokemon in my party I didn't know coming into this. I came across a wild Pikachu and won a battle despite all my Pokemon having low health. I then replaced Pichu and had my Pokemon party ready. I also realized that my Pikachu had no actual attacks, which I didn't even know was possible. All that's left is to level up. So I did that by fighting trainers and wild Pokemon. After some battles, Starly evolved into a Staravia. Yay, kitty! My first battle with Florigato went well, and since my Pokemon are now stronger, I wanted to take my second shot at a Terra Raid. This raid is a 1-star, so it'll be slightly easier than the previous. I don't even know what happened, but this fight ended so fast and Tynamo has been caught. I added Tynamo to my party for no real reason. After a short battle against this trainer, I was ready to take on the gym leader again. My Pokemon are now much stronger than they were previously and the battle begins. I defeated Nimble again, but this time without terrestrializing. Tarantula ended me the first time around, but it was now my turn to do the ending. Teddiursa was a level 15, which I wasn't expecting. I thought all of her Pokemon would be level 14s. Either way, Teddiursa was terrestrialized and I luckily survived that first hit. I answered back with Meowth, but it was not enough and Meowth has fainted. Pikachu comes out with a Thunderball and survived the opening attack. I revived Meowth knowing Pikachu would faint due to it. I then terrestrialized Staravia and took out Teddiursa, defeating my first gym leader and earning my first gym badge ever. I did think I'd be in more trouble as I thought that each gym leader would have 6 Pokemon each. Luckily for me, the opening gym leader only had 3. Next up, I wanted to start the Starfall Street Path, so I ventured on over, collecting some items along the way and also battling some Pokemon. And in 3 straight encounters, I battled level 16 Pokemon, being the highest levels I've battled yet, although they wouldn't compare to, yeah. Soon later, I managed to get myself trapped. You see, I was completely surrounded by water and hills. I couldn't get over the water and I couldn't climb the hills because they were too steep. I got in this area by accidentally falling off a cliff, but now it looks like I'm stuck. Luckily, after a quick Google search, I realized there are certain areas that I can just fly to. Soon later, I was close to a Path of Legends mission, so I decided to go for that first. I did have to make my way through some boulders first, but afterwards, the battle begins. After my first attack, I realized I actually have a chance of winning. I then used the Super Potion and it was a waste due to Staravia being attacked back to back. I threw Meowth in and used my Terra Orb, but it didn't matter. Tynamo then got one-shot by a not very effective hit. I sent in Pikachu and it seemed to be a great decision as Pikachu seems to be a very good match for the Sky Titan. I used a Super Potion and wasn't attacked because of the paralysis from Pikachu. I used my third Electro Ball and scared Bombardier into eating something. Shortly after, Arven showed up and I was actually very happy to see him. Now a bigger challenge begins. Although with Arven by my side, this battle was actually pretty easy. After the battle, I gained a lot of experience, and after giving Koraidon a special sandwich, I'll now be able to travel across water, which is amazing to find out and would have been very useful earlier on. Now back to the original goal, Starfall Street. After some traveling, I approach the base and the battle begins, and right off start, I realized how tough this would be. Weasel was defeated, but Pikachu was enough for this opening battle. Since a Grunt had a level 19, I wanted to get all of my Pokemon to at least level 19 before I continued. So I went on battling Pokemon, leveling up my Pokemon. Afterwards, all of my Pokemon were now at a level that I was confident carrying on with. I was asked if I was ready for this challenge with just the 3 Pokemon in my party. I wish I would have known that before. Either way, I had my 3 Pokemon ready and begin this challenge. I had 10 minutes with my 3 Pokemon to defeat 30 of their Pokemon. This challenge wasn't too difficult. You basically just run around defeating the other Pokemon, clicking R to send out your 3 Pokemon, and then a couple times through the fight you do want to heal your Pokemon with the vending machine, and my 3 Pokemon defeated their 30 Pokemon in under 3 minutes. Now the boss. I was very happy I leveled up my Pokemon now because his starter Pokemon was a level 21. Satatito survived with 1 HP, which was very fortunate for me, and you'll see why later. I sent out Staravia, and shortly after, Staravia fainted. Pikachu used Spark and took out the Pawniard, and now I had to battle a Pokemon car. And there goes Pikachu. After almost getting one shot, I used a Super Potion on Satatito, who has 1 health. Meowth almost got 1 shot, so I had to use another Super Potion, and I was stuck in this loop with Meowth for a while, and Meowth has fainted. I then brought back out Satatito and terrestrialized him, and used Magic Leaf, dealing my biggest hit yet. I then used Seed Bomb afterwards, and Seed Bomb goes on to be another big hit. Since the last Seed Bomb worked so well, I went to use it again, and that was the most damage I've done in a hit yet. I used the Super Potion on my terrestrialized Satatito, and with 12 health and just 2 Pokemon left, Satatito deals the final hit. When I was halfway through that battle, I honestly didn't think I'd win. I went from losing to Arven to beating a gym leader. I did have much better Pokemon, but still. My first Nuzlocke may not have went well, but I think my first playthrough did, as I've completed the opening goal for each storyline path in this game. Also, quick note, I've never watched or recorded a Pokemon video before, so I hope I showcased my Pokemon journey well.